Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm watching
Okay.
it.
Yeah, this is unshaded. So then this is a shaded 9.
Much? Give it a black eye. I didn't mean that by let's wound the duck, but...
Purple, we've got 1, 6, 2, 7. Oh, purple needs 4, 3, and 8. And they can't be in this column, so they have to be these 3 cells. So now we know all the colours to fit 9 cells.
Oh, this is superb, guys. This is really superb. So look what happens if this is a 2 and a 7.
This is the 6. Now the 10 is known.
The only way I can do it is 8, 3, 4, and that gets me to 15. I now need to leave a gap, which is the 1.
I do know. That's pretty. This is a lovely puzzle. It's got like several moments in it when you suddenly realise something really clever's going on. And it's surprisingly deep. If that's shaded, these two...
Yeah, there, by the way.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Panthera interview. And Clark is joining us today, and we have some lovely people in chat joining us today. And of course, we have this lovely Panthera joining us as well. How are you doing, Panthera?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing well. Doing great from all this kitty love, of course. And yes, as you were saying there, I did change the Wikipedia entry on that with inspect element. There are some other Easter eggs in that intro video if you want to go back and look for those.
I did already. I zoomed in.
Anyways, usually we start off by thanking our lovely patrons who are on the screen right now. Their names are beautifully shown in this circle around us. And we start off with some intro questions. For example, I'm actually interested in this. Do you have any? I'm interested in everything you're saying. Do you have any pets? Like, do you have animals? Do you like pets?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh.
Turns out I'm allergic to both cats and dogs, which technically means I'm allergic to myself. No, I'm serious. If I scratch too hard, it itches. It's terrible. But no, unfortunately, I'm allergic, so I can't.
That is so sad.
It's okay. I'm used to it.
Yeah. Kit rats. It says Sarah.
I see.
I guess a rat's not provoking you allergies. Maybe not.
I don't know. I'm allergic to both cats and dogs, and even the hyperallergenic dogs I've had problems with, so I wouldn't dare test. Yeah.
Test them out. What do you do for work?
I'm a teacher. I teach high school math.
Fun times.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy that?
Yeah, I do. My kids are really smart. I teach the upper levels, so I'm teaching pre-calc honors and multivariable calculus, and it's a lot of fun. Kids are really smart and they're great,
Sweet. Whereabouts do you live? USA, I think, and
USA, East Coast, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Nice. Do you like it over there?
Yeah, I do. It's quite pretty.
Yeah, the East Coast is really nice. I'm from the East Coast of not America, but Canada. Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, just extend it up more.
Although the east coast of Canada is quite different than the east coast of America in terms of the people living there are very different. But anyways, we will not get into that. Do you have any hobbies or interests outside of puzzling?
Yeah, a lot actually. I play games, computer games, things like that a lot. Haven't done it recently as much. I've been doing more the setting of puzzles, as you kind of know. Love the cat Glibberl. And I do sports cards on the side. So yeah, I keep busy with a
Nice.
lot of stuff.
Like collectible sports cards?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I do
That's-
a lot of the shows, including the National Sports Card Convention.
That's definitely I feel like a less common hobby these days, so that's an interesting one. I haven't heard that one yet.
Oh, Glipro, I'm not a panther.
At least not in this form.
No, I mean the word Panthera doesn't necessarily mean panther.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's a big cat. So for me, I go by Panthera Cheshire, which is why I go by Panth Chesh on Logic Masters Germany. It defines me as a big cat, but I'm a Cheshire cat.
Ah, interesting. So
Yeah.
is that the origin of your pseudonym? Logan Wall had asked about that.
Yeah, basically, when I was little, young, in my teens, I was deciding what I wanted my alias to be, and that's the one I settled on. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm dying to know because you sent some private messages to me before the stream about, you said these were in case I needed any weird facts about you, and I
Yeah.
didn't look at the spoilers, and I'm dying to know what the heck is in them. So why don't you share those with us?
Oh goodness, what was in this? Let's take a look. Okay. I've been published twice for a cookie recipe.
That is very interesting.
Yeah. A chocolate chip oatmeal chocolate chip, chewy chocolate chip oatmeal cookie. And it's on all recipes, and it's got like 5 stars, and they published it twice, and they've sent me books each time.
Nice.
It's kind of fun.
Free
Yeah.
cookbook.
Why not? I haven't published that many many recipes. I've only published that in a mac and cheese recipe. Took me over 10 years to publish the mac and cheese after having published the cookies. So had a few people go for it and go, okay, we'll try it, but not very many. Yeah, cookies
Right.
seem to be more popular.
Yeah, cookies are definitely popular. Okay, so I think there was 2 others. So
One of them, I told you I have dealt with sports cards, right?
right, yeah.
Well, many of the shows, they have autograph guests. So my friend sent me out to autograph for charity once, and I earned over $100 for charity.
Wow.
Yeah, signing autographs.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see. The third interesting thing was just that I have a PhD in math.
Oh, right. And you're
Yeah.
you're a high school math teacher with a PhD, which is not the most common thing.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. How do you balance puzzling with the other things in your life?
There are other things in my life. No, I mean, seriously, there are times when I get focused on something, I'll just focus on it and I kind of forget about what's going on. And I could teach a class and turn around and be like, okay, now I want to work on my puzzle a little bit. We'll still help kids and watch them and, do things like that. But the truth is, when you got your mind on a puzzle, you don't always think about everything else the same way. It's
Right.
just true.
Yeah. Sometimes you're even like dreaming about the puzzles you're setting.
I've always thought that if you can dream about something, then that's what you should be doing.
Interesting. That's a good perspective.
It's true,
That's an interesting question from Robert. Do you use the Sudoku to teach the kids?
Well, okay. I read that question totally differently. Do I teach the kids about Sudoku?
Oh yeah. Okay.
As opposed to do I use Sudoku to teach kids? I don't use Sudoku to teach kids, but I have taught kids about Sudoku.
Right.
And last year in particular, they have like a down period where the kids are supposed to have to work on stuff, things like that. My multivariate class, still on top of things. They don't need the downtime. So last year, I was actually at a different school. When we had that time, we actually worked on Sudokus together. And we just had fun doing that. This year, I've been putting up the gas puzzles on the board.
Right.
And I've given them a standard Sudoku every single week and then a variant, just one of each for them to try. I have a lot of kids testing them and trying them out, which is fun.
Cool.
So, yeah, they're enjoying them.
Coming back to, you said your other interests involve video games. Do you have a favorite video game for us?
I used to play RuneScape until this last summer when I hurt my back.
Can you not play
played it for a
RuneScape with a
lot of
hurt
years.
back?
What?
Do you need your back to play RuneScape?
I was on the floor for 2 weeks without being able to sit or stand.
Oh, yikes. That's
So, no, I couldn't quite play. But I got better. I'm doing better, you know.
that's good. Good to hear.
Yeah.
I can see you're not on the floor. At least I saw that you were on the
No,
floor.
I'm not on the floor right now.
I don't think the audience can quite tell if you're on the floor or not based on the background, but
Oh, trust me, you can tell by the look on my face. I don't want this awful, ow, look at my face.
right. Clark's just screaming over there. And then Logan had a different question, which was not particularly puzzle related, so I'll ask it here. Who would win in a fight between 1 trillion camels and the sun?
Well, it depends. Are they South African camels or European camels? Come on now. I have no idea. I would just comment that the camel thing, as you put it, has been a meme.
Right.
And it started with Rank Stream, who has done almost every one of my puzzles. The only ones he hasn't done are the super hard ones. But he's done all the ones that make pictures. And at one point, everyone just started joking around that everything was a camel. And I know where it
Right.
came from. But that's what it came down to. It doesn't mean I make only camels.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Okay. So maybe we'll get into the puzzle questions because that's sort of a lead in, I guess.
Okay.
So what was the first puzzle that you ever set?
The first puzzle I ever set, I actually did with the help of a computer program, and I just did a greater than Sudoku. But it wasn't really the one I did on my own. The first one I did on my own was the duck, the Easter egg one that Simon actually did, which I found really surprising. He did the very one that I started with. And then I redid it later for Bremster because that was the only one where I felt like I could have done better after having done so many years of setting. I didn't feel like I needed the white dot that I had put in there to disambiguate things. Now I know better. I can actually set those so that they look better and don't necessarily need the white dot. And as I said, for the last few years, and I know you didn't ask me this, I'm just going to tell you, I started setting, I started watching Cracking the Cryptic during the pandemic, like everybody else. And I started setting after seeing Jovi's video. So Jovi's actually the one who inspired me to actually set when he said, go for it. Or she said, go for it. And I'm like, okay, I'll go for it. Why not? But I didn't, think about doing that before then.
Right.
And so as I got better, I wanted to redo it. And it's funny because Brem almost had a strike on his channel because he did my puzzle. Because somebody thought he copied, that it was a copy of my own puzzle. I'm like, no, that's my puzzle. It's okay. I redid it.
Oh no.
It's like, no, that's not a different, it's a different puzzle. It's okay.
Is this the one we were talking about, Easter egg?
Yeah.
I was looking
That's
through
my first one.
your LMD page, and then I realized I couldn't find the puzzle because I was in the solved puzzles instead of the set puzzles. Such an idiot. I was trying to listen to you while also looking at this, and I'm like, none of these even look like Panthera puzzles because they weren't any
Oh, yeah, I
Panthera
like
puzzles.
solving puzzles.
Yeah,
I
you have a
love a
lot
lot
of
of the
pages of
option
solved
puzzles.
puzzles.
I was solving a ton before I started setting, and then I found out that it's actually a little more challenging and fun to set, so I don't solve as many now comparatively,
Right,
but I still solve a lot, yeah.
definitely. It was a. I was like, there's no way there's this many puzzles on our LMD page. I'm like, 30
I
pages?
started off
What?
posting I started posting like maybe 2 a week, and then I quickly
Right.
went down to 1, and then I quickly went down to 1 a month, because at this point it's like, I'm like, "Oh, wait, crap, I haven't updated anything recently, I better put 1 up there." I
Yeah,
kind of
I know
forget.
that feeling.
Yeah.
So when you first tried, like, I guess your own hand at setting a puzzle, were you surprised at how easy or hard it was to set a puzzle?
Setting for me is a little different than most people. Most people go through painstakingly things to try to get the perfect break in, and you know what I'm talking about,
Okay.
and to make things come out just right.
Hmm.
There's a lot of randomness to JSS,
Right.
and I love the randomness. So for me, I use a lot more randomness and just go with it and see how it gets me and see if that works. So it's a little different.
I think some people embrace the randomness even with the other style you mentioned.
They might. Yeah.
Yeah. Not everything has to be perfect, right? So uh sorry, I can't remember if you said this before with the other explanation, but had you been watching CTC for a while before you started setting?
I've been watching since the pandemic.
Right.
Yeah. So I watched at least for a year before I started setting at all. Yeah.
Uh, had you done Sudoku or even Sudoku variants before seeing CTC at all?
You could say that. I used to get Dell pencil puzzles and word games, and I did Sudoku when it was called Number Place.
Oh, yeah.
So I did it way back when, before it was a thing. And when it became a thing, I was like, this is way too easy. It kind of bores me. And only when I
Yeah.
saw CTC with the variants was I like, oh, now that's interesting.
And then how long before you saw like a Japanese sum Sudoku? Because obviously that's your jam now.
See, here's the thing. I saw Mark do one. I didn't
Yeah.
know what it was called at the time. And then I don't know why I thought to make pictures of them. As far as I know, I'm the first person to actually make pictures of these, as opposed to just because the traditional Japanese sum Sudoku rules, you're coloring in shaded cells, but then those become not part of your grid. So, like, they don't get the numbers in there, if that makes sense. And so
Right.
you couldn't do multicolor. And I flipped it so that you're shading where you're shading, you're actually putting in numbers. And by doing that, I can have multicolors and do things like that.
Right.
So mine is actually the backwards of Japanese sum Sudoku. People don't really know that. But I was told that it was Japanese sum Sudoku after I started setting it. So I did not know that was the original title of it,
Right.
if that makes sense.
So I guess that gets into a bit of answering KMT's question, which was what draws you to N color? He calls it N color Japanese sum Sudoku, or Japanese sums over traditional Japanese sums, and I guess that's your answer to that, right?
I actually go with the picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
If the picture requires more than one color, that's even better. And it's funny because what I've done already is almost harder than what I'm coming up with now, because me and Asylum have come up with ways of doing it that are even better and even easier for people by having the clues just on the side the way they would be for nanograms now. With the way the software is developed, we can now do
Right.
that. Makes it almost easier. And as you can see, I'm now starting to get into jigsaw puzzles, where the jigsaw puzzles are little Japanese sum Sudokus as well.
Right. Well, maybe we can jump over to that topic. You had sent me a little.
This is so cool, by the way, guys. Just gotta tell you, and thanks to Chameleon for this, because this is just incredible.
A little sneak peek
Yeah.
of something you're working
Yeah,
on with
good.
Chameleon, which we'll share now. Let me bring it up. So talk about what the heck this is and why we should care.
You show it to him. I mean, it's neat. You have all these different little Japanese sum Sudoku pieces. You can hit the plus or minus at the bottom to zoom in and out
Okay.
of the whole thing. So you can like show the pieces. You can also move around the board. You can pick a piece and fill it in. Go ahead and fill in some numbers and some colors inside the piece. Kind of neat how you can just do this. And one of the neat things is, yeah, it's an actual Jigsaw interface. And what's really cool about it is you can move the pieces too. So go ahead and color that too. So when you move it, you can see the colors move too. Feel free to use your purple. I know you want to.
So do the pieces like fit together as well? Oh, they do. This is cool.
Yes, and you can make the JSS disappear. So if you see there where it says show Japanese sum clues, click on that yes, and you can make your Japanese sums disappear completely. Click down on that, and I think they give you options. So you can actually show it just for the active piece as well in case you need to put it back so you can do a little more work on it.
That is wild.
And it snap so that if you get it right, it'll snap right into place. Look at that. And so as you turn them, the numbers even stay upright. It's a beautiful thing. I want to use this for a pack. I'm not sure if everyone can use it. That's my only concern. So we're going to test it with a pack, but that's okay.
It's a little bit choppy for me right now, but it wasn't before when I was playing with it. So
It's pretty smooth comparatively, and it nicely like clicks into place. So you don't have to worry if you get it close, it clicks right. You know, so you don't have to worry about making it perfect when you're putting the pieces together, which is great.
So what sparked this sort of Jigsaw Japanese sum Sudoku idea?
That was actually my dad dying.
Oh.
That was the video that Simon did called I Love You, Dad. My dad died in February.
Right.
And he died with a pencil in his hand, still doing a puzzle. And he loved jigsaws. That was one of the types he liked. And so I figured I wanted to make him a jigsaw, my style. So I did.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's a great tribute, and if it keeps going further, that's
and I
even
really
better, right?
love the jigsaw pieces because it's neat. Most of them you can fill in most of the digits, but then how do you put them together so that it makes a 9x9 grid?
Right.
With the constraint that it's going to be a Sudoku grid, so you're not going to have any repeats in the rows and columns. What does that mean? Do the answers change, Robert? The numbers will stay in the same position. The coloring stays in the same position. And I'll give you a clue, like this piece is in the correct position. So you know that piece is upright to start with. And then the rest of it you can maneuver and figure out how it goes. And of course, it makes a picture, which is what I think is really important.
So let's talk about the picture thing, because it's obviously very important to your whole identity is making these pictures and making pretty Sudokus. Why is that so important to your whole identity?
It's not actually. You haven't seen a lot of stuff I've done that. No. I have probably about 90% of the stuff I've done is picture based.
Right.
But then I have about 10%, which is not. I've done multiple packs with Peter Venus, and Spartacus, where I'll do one Japanese sum Sudoku and all the rest are not.
Right.
And we're working on another pack now. But the idea is not necessarily to make pictures there. And that's okay. You know, I enjoy all sorts of puzzles. I just love it when a picture comes out of it, because then it's kind of cool. It's like you get this added bonus.
Right. Yeah. It definitely is cool, and I think people appreciate it.
Yeah.
And then I guess the follow-up to that is how do you create the pictures from the randomness and the clues? Like I don't get it. How do you get the pictures out?
Do you want to solve the one you pulled up? I can solve that one with you if you want.
No.
Basically, so very often you want to use the longest lengths.
Okay.
because those are kind of the most restrictive, and make them big numbers so that you know they go over halfway through the grid or things like that. And that way you can start filling in colors. And once you can start filling in colors, you can start filling in things that are not colored. And you just kind of go backwards and forwards between filling in things of color and not until you can start filling in numbers.
Right.
I don't know how to explain it, but for some reason I'm a natural at it. So I have
That
no
kind of
idea.
makes sense. It's sort of like when you're drawing things, people like do like the sort of circles to like this is like these are the areas in which I'm going to draw, like these are the sort of boundaries. And that's what you're doing with like the longest lines, right? I guess sort of makes sense.
Yeah. Robert, I could do that. I could make something that makes different images depending upon how you move the pieces. But the thing about it is most people want to know they got the answer to the puzzle. I've actually had people complain when I had an answer where it could be turned or something going, which way is the right side up? Even if it's exactly the same answer, they still complain. So I try to make sure there is a single answer that's supposed to be the right way.
Right. Oh, they're called grid lines in drawing. Thank you, Sarah. I'm not an artist. I just watch them. I for some reason I just imagine that if I was to like try to set something like a Japanese style Sudoku that I wanted like this very specific image, I feel like it would result in like one cell being colored when I don't want it to be colored, and then my energy would all go into that sort of thing. So does that happen ever or no?
If you want an image done, just hand it to me. I'll do it for you.
No, but no, I want to know the process behind it.
No, it's not. See, that's the whole thing. You're thinking about it backwards.
Okay.
You're thinking that you're coming up with the clues and therefore making the puzzle.
Okay.
That's the backward way to do it. What you do is you start with the picture, fill in the numbers, make the clues, then test it.
Okay.
And
interesting.
a large percent of the time, it doesn't work. Deadly pattern.
Right.
Just literally can't resolve it. Have to redo it. Pick new numbers. Try again. This is the problem with chaos. It can be chaotic and it may not work. But there are times where you try it and it's like, wow, that required some really beautiful logic I never would have thought of. But it's doable.
Interesting. Okay. That is definitely
and one of
a
the
different
things
way
I like with the puzzle pieces, one of the things I like with the puzzle pieces is because each piece is a region, you can use that to help solve the piece and know if everything's colored or if part of it's colored or part of it's not.
Right. Interesting.
Sorry.
No. I love that description. So why make these packs of like the puzzle pieces? And I know a big pack for you guys was the one with Asylum for the Japanese Sudoku specifically.
Asylum's done multiple packs with me.
Yeah, okay.
Basically, Asylum and I are the Paint by Numbers Institute. And we've had other people join us. Turkles joined us at one point. Monty joined us at one point. I'd like to have Monty back, but right now Monty's been sick, so I don't know what's going on with him, and I hope he's okay. But Asylum is like my rock when it comes to the Paint by Numbers Institute. I would never be able to do the packs without him. It really does take more than one person to make a pack that's good. And I really could not imagine doing a pack all on my own completely. It's not just the amount of work going into the pack. While the pack is going on, you have all these patrons asking for help constantly. And Asylum is just amazing. I mean, just an amazing guy. And I really appreciate him and love him. He's just great.
And if I remember correctly, you guys made a heck ton of puzzles, like 50 or something puzzles in one pack or more.
Yeah, well, what I did was I was making 50 puzzles, and then Asylum kind of came up to me. I was like, hey, can I get some help making my JSS? And I was like, come join with me and make a pack with me. And he's like, okay. And says, all right. And then I cut back the number I was doing. So I did 40 of them. He did like 5 or 10. I forget. I did maybe 35 or something. I think he did 10. I did 35 in the end. But yeah, we had a ton of puzzles, but I wanted to introduce people to the idea
Right.
because a lot of people were never able to do it. Alima, thank you so much for joining. Alima's awesome. Just gonna put a little thing in there. Alima and I did a crossword Sudoku together. Don't know if you know that one. It's on Logic Masters Germany. If you didn't, yeah, there you go.
It's up on screen now.
Yep. Yeah, that was really cool. Alima did all the clues. He did English clues and German clues separate, which
Oh,
is
that's
kind of
awesome.
fun. I wanted to do something that Simon and Mark would really find up their alley, but neither one of them seemed to want to do it. But that's okay. I thought it was kind of cool. You know, you have a crossword puzzle inside of the other puzzle, and then the letters stand for numbers. So you have to. So you're kind of restricted on letters when you do it, but it's not that bad. You know.
Right.
I think I think we did maybe a telephone thing at the end, so that you would use a telephone code or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Been a
Okay.
while.
Like a telephone pad.
Right. So
Right.
you could tell what numbers are what from the telephone pad or something like that. At least that's what I think we did. I forget.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is crossword puzzles? Oh, we're getting some feedback.
Crossword puzzles are not something I'm good at.
Okay.
This actually, my doing a crossword puzzle into a Sudoku puzzle actually came from the birthday exchange that I run.
Oh really? Maybe we
Yes.
can get into that then. Doomdiet had asked specifically about that. Let me find the question here. Doomdiet said the birthday exchange you organize in Skunkworks is one of the most rewarding things I've ever been involved with. How did that get started and how has it evolved over time?
Yeah, I started it because, well, I really liked the Christmas exchange that they did, and CTC. The problem is I didn't want it to be that big.
Right.
I just wanted it to be reasonably big, and I personally make a puzzle for every single person who takes part. So I spent the whole year. I've done it now, and I'm continuing to do so. And I think doing that's the same way. Do a puzzle for everybody if you can, because it's a great way to build and extend yourself out as a setter. Because then you're getting practice doing styles which you're not used to, such as somebody
Right.
said they like crosswords, they like Sudoku. Okay, crossword Sudoku it is. Don't know what that means, but I'll make something. And if somebody says they like GSS, great. What other hobbies do you have? I'll make you a picture. But if they don't like JSS, I'll still make them a puzzle which befits them on purpose because I want them to be happy with their birthday gift. But that's how I started it. Now I go back and I write to every single person this year and say, are you still taking part? If you are, great. Tell me what puzzles you like. If not, then let me know and I'll remove your name. And for the most part, people have been pretty honest and we've had a lot of people stay, which is great.
That's great. So how does the birthday exchange work? I feel
I
like
run it through
my name is on there,
Skunkworks.
but I feel like I haven't contributed very much in the back.
Okay. Well, I
way.
run it through Skunkworks
Yeah.
and through Ranked server. So Rank's Discord server as well. So even if you're not in Skunkworks, you can still take part. I don't run it through CTC because I think it would be overwhelmed.
Right.
Like you'd have 10 birthdays every day, and that's not, nobody could keep up with that.
Mhm.
So I'd rather keep it to more people who are more serious about setting, not just people going, oh, I want 20 birthday gifts. But what I ask you to do is make a puzzle for somebody else for their birthday. Anybody. I figure if you make one, then that's fair enough.
Right.
So I don't ask for more than one. Just one's plenty.
So anyone interested, you only have to make one.
Yeah, you just need to make one. But it has to be, you have to be willing to make a puzzle.
Right.
So I've had some people who wanted to make, like, they're like, I just do Wordles. Like, then that's not going to work because we're not doing Wordles.
I'll make you a Wordle, but it's just I give you a word. I'll play
That's true, Alina. We have had people still get puzzles when they leave, even though they leave. Yeah. because people remember when their birthdays are. I put up who's coming up in the calendar, but people just check the calendar online anyway because I have it available for anyone to see.
Right. Let's go to a less serious question. Demono had asked, Panthers great cat or greatest cat?
I told you, Cheshire.
Cheshire is greatest cat. that is
Well,
your
Cheshires
answer.
can disappear, right?
Right. Well, Panthers
Leaving
can
only a small
sort of
behind, so-
disappear.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Panthera is a genus. It's not a cat type. Panthera leo is a lion. Panthera tigris is a tiger. Panthera unca's a panther. But Panthera Cheshire is what I go by. So it's not. Panthera is not a panther. If that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
In a similar vein to the birthdays, Glum Hippo asked or said, I love the positive energy you bring to this community, and asked, do you feel that that energy comes back to you with interest, if I may use a banking metaphor?
Overall, yeah, I think so. I love the community. I think you guys are great. This is overall really nice. I mean, there's just even the people who seem kind of mean sometimes, they're still nice people, you know. And I don't feel bad about anybody. I like everyone, you know. So, yeah.
This is a great community.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm looking at the snack Doku picture you have on screen. The little food that I made. I made those cookies, by the way, in case you're wondering. I actually did. Yeah. But the idea for snack Doku was to make it so that everybody could take part, because I know that with the Gap and the Gas, they don't have the ability to like go through lots of entries and seeing who has what, and whether or not it's proper to use for it and things like that. But I paired up with Skunkworks for the Snack Doku, and they helped me. I mean, if it hadn't been for them, but there's no way Snack Doku couldn't have run. But they will help me go through all the puzzles. A lot of them do a lot of work. Chili has been awesome. He's been the one posting most of the posts. I think he had me do one this last time. We're definitely going to go for another run. So if you guys like the Snack Doku, they're coming back. And I know that Riff is going to join us this time too, posting, which is wonderful. And I forget, there was one more person who was going to join us, but I forget who off the top of my head.
So for those who don't know, what is Snack Doku? Panthera.
A Sudoku you can do in under 2 minutes.
Nice. Anyone can do it under 2 minutes?
You should be able to. We have animals we award based upon your time, and we decided to make, I think it was 2 minutes and under is a skunk, because it's from Skunkworks.
Right.
Yeah.
Alima says they'll be on board too.
Good. And like I said, if you guys have puzzles you created that are short and sweet, submit them. We're going to still accept submissions in the same form. We are still going to be making more of them. And we love it when there's, in fact, I would love it if there were more people submitting than we had for a season, so that we could feature different people every season. It wouldn't matter to me. I'm okay with that.
So speaking about the submission place, what is Sudoku Skunkworks, and how are you involved in that?
Skunkworks is something started by Riff Clown on Discord, which basically he lets any setter in they want, and he gives you a place where you can talk about basically anything. I mean, he even made a JSS area for me, which, because I already had a paint by number server, which I use exclusively with Asylum, I don't really use that often, but they've got like every type of puzzle you could possibly imagine there, and you can go there and you can learn how to create them or help, test them or things like that. There's all sorts of stuff you can do there.
Right.
Well, it's a great community way for the setters to talk to each other.
Yeah. One question I want to ask you about Japanese sum Sudoku is, have you ever done like just a regular Japanese sum without the Latin square or the Sudoku boxes? I don't know the answer to this if you have or
You're
not.
talking about like a regular one where you color the opposite way that I colored?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I have. I find them very hard actually, very often.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they can be very difficult. Because they give a lot of question marks. I don't tend to give as many question marks as you noticed. I will fill in numbers even when I don't necessarily need to,
Right.
and make it a lot easier for people. But yeah, for me, I've done them, but they're hard. And my only problem is they don't make pictures.
Right.
I love it when when they make pictures. Every once in a while, I hit somebody who makes a picture, and I'm like, yes, it's a picture. But otherwise, it's like, why are you making a puzzle that makes no picture and has no reason to it? It's like, I don't know.
Because puzzles are fun.
Exactly.
Robert asked, what do you think about the rating system? Maybe you
I'm
can elaborate on.
assuming
Yeah.
I'm assuming you mean an LMD.
I'm assuming too, but I'm not sure.
Well, the rating system on Discord is kind of really weird because I don't know about that. Actually, the rating system in LMD, I don't know much about either. I can tell you that a lot of my puzzles were not ranked. And I looked recently and it's like, wow, a lot of them got ranked. When did that happen? But no, really, I was just like, I was talking to to a Spartacus and Peter V, and they're like, oh, well, I have this many puzzles in this ranking and that. I'm like, oh, let me see. Yeah, mine aren't ranked. But from what I can tell, I don't like the fact that one person can bring down a puzzle very far. And the way people take their puzzles, I've heard of people taking down their puzzles when they get a 70% rating.
Right.
And it's like, but a 70% is not bad. I'm sorry, it's not. It's not like you got a 30.
You sound like a math teacher, a high school math teacher. So
I am.
Someone asking for marks back on their test. 70% is not bad. So
yeah, I think there's a little too much of a push to get 100%. And I've had puzzles with 100% and nobody notices them.
Right.
One of my favorite puzzles is actually the imposter one. Boxade is sus. And I think it got like a 90-something% on Logic Masters. And I've recommended it to CTC, but they don't want to look at it. Even though it rated very highly, it's a really neat puzzle because I don't tell you if the clues are the colored ones or the non-colored one. So you don't know which way the coloring goes in any row or column. And that to me was kind of a neat concept to put together. And of course, it makes a picture at the end because, all my stuff makes pictures.
Right.
But I do feel like sometimes things have good ratings more because friends will, push it more or things like that possibly. Yeah, Ron Planner and I did a really cool thing. I forget, Ron Planner, do you remember who was involved in it? I forget everybody's name. But it was 6 of us involved doing a puzzle together. Look up faces. It's under somebody else's name though. I didn't put it under my account. You may have to do a search for it.
Probably Rom Miners.
But it was done with 6 of us doing each one face of a puzzle. There we go. Virtual Casey and Maverick JD. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're missing somebody, Rom. There's one more because we had 6 people doing 6 pieces. But it was really cool because we made the puzzle so that it makes a shape together. Palandos, there we go. That's the one.
That would be the 6th person.
There you go. And it's on that person's account. But that's really cool because you had to solve 6 different puzzles, each done by a different person. And then they have this connection between them that helps you out as well.
Right.
So we have the 6 pieces, like faces of a die. See? And mine ended up being more of a Japanese sum Sudoku. Within the Japanese sum Sudoku one, the plain face is mine. And then that got that type of puzzle where you put a Japanese sum Sudoku within the Japanese sum Sudoku was actually inspired by a Spartacus who gave that to me for my birthday. And I said, why doesn't it make a picture? And he's like, I can't do that. You do that. So I did. I've made quite a few of them since then, but it's kind of neat, the idea that you can use the clues within the grid to fill in the rest of the grid and still shade.
Right. Yeah, that is pretty cool. Yeah, I've seen
I
a
get-
few
I give them
that
a lot
you've
of
done that
credit.
like that, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Jovi had asked a question, which I'm not sure if you want to answer. It says
Sure, it's fun. He didn't ask a question.
she
He just said tiny URL.
tiny URL question mark.
Okay, so when Jovi was setting the puzzles for Gap,
Yeah.
he didn't realize that I was trying to do them. I actually love her puzzles and I wanted to do them. And so problem was I was doing them at school, like during lunch breaks and things like that. And I'd have to type in to the browser the URL because I can't get on Discord on my school computer. That's inappropriate, but they don't mind if I go to a puzzle real quick and do it real quick. So that's what I was doing. And so I kept asking her for a tiny URL because I'm like, this is really long. I don't know if you've seen the Puzzlink ones because that's what they were using. Puzzlink 01100101. I'm like, I'm gonna lose track here. So I started asking for a tiny URL.
Right.
That's what that was about.
For most of the puzzles, right?
And I wasn't the only one who appreciated it. I mean, I don't know if Jovi realizes it, but a lot of people tended to appreciate it because I wasn't the only one asking for it. When I put up, at first I just asked for it, it was ignored. So I started putting it up in like reactions, TINY URL ? And other people would click on it too because they wanted the tiny URL as well.
Right.
And it may seem silly, but that little bit of time you take to put it in the tiny URL saves somebody who can't access it by a link
Right.
because you can type that in pretty easily.
So do you do the gap often? Do you do the gas often, I guess, as well?
I do them both, yeah, every day. I
Every
love
day.
them. I really support CTC 100%, things like that.
Yeah. Interesting
I'm
question from
sorry.
Robert.
Yeah, just reading that.
Would you rather have puzzles or cookies for your birthday?
Well, now that I'm diabetic and getting older, I'd rather have a puzzle.
Begrudgingly accept the puzzle.
Well, I make sugar-free cookies. I can do everything sugar-free. So I do a lot of dessert sugar-free. But I agree with Simon, for your birthday, it should be cake. However, a 50-50 ratio of icing to cake to me is a little much. But that's okay.
That is a bit much.
Yeah.
A Japanese sum Sudoku.
By the way, the
with a
cookies I
cookie.
made, the little picture, the snack doku, those were yummy.
Yeah, I bet they look very good.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Cookies
Yeah,
with
I made
puzzles.
cookies with puzzles on them. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what those were. And they actually turned out pretty cool. Yeah. If you want, I could turn my cookie recipe into a puzzle for you guys.
David Ratner had a couple of questions here. One was, and I think you already answered it, how did you get into Japanese sum Sudoku? But they also asked, did someone influence you or did you have a mentor when you started studying Japanese sum Sudoku?
No, not really. I've always done a lot of puzzles, so I was doing nanograms a lot. I do them once a week. Conceptus has a great app for great apps. They have a lot of apps that do puzzles, and they give you away one free puzzle every single week. So what I do is, because I don't really want to pay for them, I just use the free one, and I'll switch the date I do different ones so that I have plenty of puzzles to do. That's part of what was probably on my mind when I first started setting was, oh, look, they do this with, I'd say about 3 or 4 apps, they make pictures, maybe even 5 out of all their apps, and they'll do it in different forms, which is really cool. So I'm like, why not make these into pictures?
Right.
You know, and I just did. Yeah.
And then David had also asked, which of your puzzles are you most proud of? And if you could go back and change one / edit it, which would you choose and why? So let's just cover the first bit, I guess, and the second one after.
Okay, which one am I most proud of? I don't know. I really like the Boxated Sus one. I would love it if CTC showed that one. Rectangle City is super hard. It's one that was inspired by what's his name?
Andrew Sakis.
Yes. Andrew Sarchis. He did some stuff with referencing cells, and he did a great job, and he just inspired me to make this puzzle, which it doesn't make a picture, I'm sorry. But it is kind of neat the way it works, and it's solvable. So I had to record it right when I did it because I'm like, I'm going to forget how to solve this thing. So I did. But that one I'm actually really proud of. I'd love to see that one get featured too, because that's a really neat one. Yay, Andrew Sarchis is here. But yeah, you inspired that puzzle completely, 100%. And that one's one I really like a lot. Should I just answer Zombie Hunter?
You can if you want to.
Zombie Hunter says, why do all my puzzles look like camels? I don't know why you think all my puzzles look like camel zombie.
Well, this one kind of looks like a camel with like these 2 humps in the middle here, but most of them don't.
I told you that one doesn't make a picture.
Well, maybe it's redeemed now.
It's redeemed now. Now it's a picture.
Yeah.
Which one would I change? Like I said, it was my first one. Actually, I wanted to change my duck one because I was like, I can probably do it now without the dot or put the dot in a good place. Like that's the other thing I've been doing is to put a dot where the eye is or where a feature is and using that as part of the picture now, where I never thought to do that before. And I got to give some credit to Peter Venus, who is excellent at turning things into better pictures. Because very often I'll go over to Peter and I'll be like, does this look like a horse? And I'll go, no. Let me help you. Here's horse. Like, okay, thank you. And I did one, which was because of him, which was, I remember the title. I don't remember if I put it up there. But it was, I want to be wild and free. And it's basically ends up being a picture of a knight. That's the horse that the knight's on. See that? He's anti-knight because he doesn't want the knight on him. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
But that's one of my first 2 color ones I made. That's a lot of fun. But yeah, that one, the picture itself came from Peter. Yeah.
Cool.
He's incredible at drawing horses.
A knight.
Yeah, he's incredible at drawing a horse, and I just can't do it.
So are you trying to tell me that you're the one who came up with 2 coloring Japanese Sudoku? Like you came up with this rule set?
I did 2 color, and for Olima's where I started 3 color. My very first one was actually a fruit basket for Olima. And it was because of a speed setting contest which Olima ran and said, I want a fruit basket. And these people came up with these pictures, and I'm like, none of those look like fruit baskets. I don't know what you guys are thinking. Let me draw you a fruit basket. And I drew a 3 color. It was my first 3 color picture. And that's how the 3 color came about. But yeah, people hadn't thought of doing 2 color or 3 color. And now, see, part of it was the restriction of we couldn't do more than 1 color outside the grid. How are you going to differentiate between the colors?
Right.
And so that became a big concern for a long time. And I couldn't just do any picture because, well, you needed to be able to identify one of the colors, or you might be able to put, like, you don't want an eye, which has to be a certain color, but people don't know what color to use there. It has to be a reason why you would know what that color is going to be.
Right.
And now with the new method where we can put boxes outside that have all sorts of different colors, we can go as many colors as we want. Don't have to worry about a thing. It's amazing.
16 colors, why not?
I could actually do one that's got a ton of colors now. Just kind of fun.
The question is not could we do it, but should we
Samurai
do it?
JSS in full color. That's an interesting idea. I should almost do that, a huge Samurai JSS in full color. I know Asylum did one. I did one too, but I think more Asylum was the one doing the Samurai ones. He did them for the packs, and that was beautiful. I mean, really, really beautiful ones. Yeah. I've done a few, because of situations and things like that, I've done more 4 6x6 versions. I found that Samurais take an awful long time to do usually, and people don't want to sit there for hours on end doing a puzzle. But for me,
Some people do.
the 4 6x6 grids works pretty well. It's about the same amount of solve time for a regular Sudoku, and the magic number is 42 instead of 45, which makes it kind of more interesting.
Right.
Chameleon, the question is, how many colors do you have on your system that I can make into puzzle pieces? That's really the question, right? Because I want to make more puzzles. That's so much fun. I mean, really fun. Although, guys, I will tell you, Chameleon only turned down one of my ideas. Chameleon said that they would not add a timer into the app, that the Puzzle TV thing. So if you guys want the timer, you're going to have to yell at Chameleon. So you know how long you took on a puzzle? Sorry.
Why no timer?
I don't know. I asked I have one person who tests a lot of my puzzles. I've had multiple people in the past. It's been different people. Pulverizing Pancake for a while was a tester of every one of my puzzles. Now Pulverizing Pancake got too busy, and now I have Sudoku Hero that does it, and Sudoku Hero is awesome. And I gave Sudoku Hero my the one I showed you, the Finding a Way Home one.
Yeah.
And after solving it, I said, "How long did it take you?" And he goes, "I don't know. There's no timer." I was like, "Oh, people might want that."
A little while, I guess.
Okay, Zombie. I'll do that for you. I'm gonna write that down. A JSS Fog of War with the pictures. I can do that. In fact, that is an interesting idea.
I'm being attacked by a cat right now.
That's okay. Kitty cats are fine. I love kitty cats.
Yeah, they're great. Alima had asked, do you think JSS solving improves math capabilities of students?
I think it's good for kids to use their brains on puzzles just for the sake of using their brains. I mean, that sounds so silly, but some of the kids don't think as much as they could. And I think puzzling definitely makes you smarter.
Yeah.
You know? You should post more of the ones to test. What's the PBNU Discord? Paint by Numbers University Discord? You guys don't have access to that. Oh, Alethea does. Okay, so I've got very few people in the Paint by Numbers Discord. Only the people in there are people involved in the pack or people who have been involved in the pack. So I'll post it for you.
Yeah.
In my case, Chameleon, I don't have a problem with kids being interested in math. My kids are high level, they love math. So I don't have to worry about that. The lower level ones, they get more scared of math, you know, and puzzles usually. But I don't have to teach those, fortunately. I can hear your kitty cat, so cute.
Yes, he's very loud, so sure.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
We've been keeping kind of quiet, me and Asylum, but we just wrote to CTC really recently about doing a kids puzzle pack for them.
Right.
So we might be doing the next one, which will be a lot of fun. So I'll definitely have you test it, Elise.
Uh,
Oh, I'm glad that Manasan liked the birthday puzzle. I've been making birthday puzzles for everybody, and then I put out a pack of
There
them
you go.
all, and I put it on the Discord at the end of the year. So I have this pack of like all the puzzles I put out for everybody's birthday,
How
so
many
people could see it if they really wanted to.
how many birthday puzzles did you make like last year?
I don't know if I kept count of the number, but it was probably near 100, I would think.
Oh my word, that's insane. Wow.
Yeah, well, there were
That is
some
insane.
weeks where you have nobody, and then there's some weeks where you have like 3 or 4 people
Right.
have a birthday all in that same week. And so, yeah, I made everybody a puzzle. But I think it's like people who normally stream puzzles or things like that, they get a lot of puzzles because people just want, to have their puzzle showcased online. But the setters who don't have that ability or don't stream, they don't get anything. And it's like, well, it'd be nice if they got a puzzle for their birthday. So
Right.
that's why I started the puzzle exchange.
Yeah, that is nice. Speaking of people who showcase puzzles online, do you enjoy watching your puzzles being solved? I know that's sort of a silly question, but
Yeah. I absolutely love it. And the only problem I have is ranks. Sometimes I don't know he did one of my puzzles
oh yeah.
because he starts streaming because he's West Coast, I'm East Coast.
hmm
So when he starts streaming, I'm up maybe an hour or two and then I go to bed. And so I miss most of the stream. And then on Saturdays, I'm usually really busy, so I can't always catch the stream. And I don't always know he did one of mine.
Right.
Did you invite me, Domby? I don't remember you inviting me.
Yeah, I don't remember an invite either, Zombie. You need to tell people about these things.
It's probably because it's February 30th,
Right. Let's talk about humor in puzzles. What does that mean to you? What does a funny puzzle look like?
I have no idea. Sorry. But I really don't. I don't know what to tell you on that one.
I kind of expected, because sometimes your titles and the pictures are not exactly what you expect, and that's a little bit funny to me. Sometimes it's like monarch, and
Oh.
then you're like, I don't know what kind of monarch you mean, or was that you? No, that was not you. That was Garkles, wasn't it?
No. My titles usually give a clue as to what you're making.
Right.
But it might be an abstract clue.
Right.
And when it came to so many people saying everything was a camel, I started doing things like a camel's friend or a camel goes shopping, just because I didn't want people to have to find the camel in there. It's like, no, there's really no camel. When I did a globe once, it was called Study the World, and people are like, oh, look, it's all the camels.
All the camels of the world in one puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. I showed them all.
And that's all the camels done, and now we can move on.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't really do a lot with the titles except for try to give a clue to the picture, because sometimes I feel like the picture is not very clear. It is hard to draw in a 9x9
Yeah.
grid and make it clear. And so I do the best I can. But it's not always easy. Yeah. And I've done a few other types, as you've noticed. I'm looking at the penguin you have up there that I made for Zeta Math. But a lot of those ideas came right out of Conceptus puzzles.
Right.
Which is, it's neat what they've done with it, with making pictures and stuff.
That's a good question from Sarah. Does the camel meme annoy you?
Nah, it's fine. I used to be like, hey, it's not a camel, but now I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's fine. I like what
Mhm.
Glum Hippo said.
Yeah.
Camels are just lumpy, gangly hippos when you get right down into it.
Yeah.
The only problem is I could never draw a hippo with a grid very well. I had to actually ask Glum for help when drawing the hippo for his, and he drew me a hippo. But if you noticed, it was a lined hippo. It wasn't a squared out hippo. So I had to incorporate other things, and I put that in into um, the puzzle I put on LMD for him.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I made Glum smile. That was the best.
How often do you go looking for puzzles to solve, and where do you look for them?
I look for puzzles to solve all the time. What do you mean? Where? Often I watch CTC. I do the puzzles they do there. And then I look on Logic Masters. I'll go through. Sometimes I'll just go to the Discord and go under the testing area and just try some puzzles out of there that don't seem too popular.
Yeah.
One of my big things is I've always found that people who aren't that popular, it doesn't mean that their puzzles aren't good. It means that people may not know them.
Right.
And so people will be like, oh, I know this person. They're putting out good puzzles. I'm going to do all their puzzles when they come up. And then there are a lot of people who are like, oh, I put a puzzle out there, but nobody's solved mine.
Right.
So my rule on that is solve other people's, especially those people who don't have a lot of stuff. And if you can't do it, it's okay, but give it a shot, see what happens. But I always like helping out people who don't get rated or things like that. So I'm not always looking at the puzzles that have a 99% rating with 200 people having solved it. I'll look at okay, it's not been rated. It's got 5 people solving it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type I might try.
Is there something about a puzzle that makes you either want to solve it or not want to solve it in terms of the puzzle rules or the look of the puzzle?
Oh yeah, if I know it's a JSS with a picture, I'm solving it. And actually, it's funny because I think it was SM Marcus or something started setting some JSS. They're beautiful puzzles. I suggest you guys check them out. But they're all music related, which I'm not into music, but that's okay. Somebody who knows music well probably knows what all those symbols are.
They're all
As
musical
far as
symbols.
the rules go, if it's something where I understand the rules, I'll go for it. If the rules lose me, I tend to not do the puzzle. But if I
Right.
understand the rules, I'll do it. And very often, just so you know, examples really help. By
Mhm.
having an example where it's like, this is true and false all at the same time in the picture, and it doesn't clarify, it doesn't help me. So
Right.
I've had some puzzles like that where I'm like looking at the pictures going, and I'll get it. And I have other times I'll look at the picture and goes, now I understand. And
Right.
that's great,
As per the usual, pictures are good for you.
I love pictures. I love it when you get this bonus after having solved a puzzle.
Right. Let's talk about the welcoming of people into the community, because it's actually I don't know how well it's known, but you were the one who welcomed me to this community, sort of, when
Yeah.
you were the first person to
When you were
solve
here.
my first puzzle. So thank
Yeah.
you for that.
You're welcome. I was so excited when you first got featured because I'm like, I know him.
Yeah. It was sort of a
and
weird feature, but yeah.
that's okay. A feature's a feature.
Mhm.
It's great. And it's funny what I did for you, Peter Venus did for me.
Right.
When I first tried setting and talking to people for the first time, he's the one who ended up talking with me and encouraging me along. And so he's kind of my bestie in the community because of that. But, I feel a very strong connection to you as well for that same reason. Because, as you said, I tried helping you out, even though I didn't even know what I was doing with your puzzle to a large extent. I remember I was having trouble solving it. You're like, oh, well, here's a clue, and here's another clue. Like, thank you.
To be
But that's
fair,
okay.
when you first started solving it, it was a complete mess, and then I changed it, and it was better. And I think you did end up solving it when I changed it. So, Yeah. It had
Well,
nothing
that's
to
what I
do
mean.
with
I try to
solving
solve ones-
skills.
Yeah, but I try to do ones that people haven't really done, and I've done that for a few people who
Mhm.
they just aren't getting the solves. But like I said, every single person's got their own talent. Every single person's got an ability to do something different, which is amazing to me. That everybody here, I mean, we've got like 16 people watching according to the thing on YouTube. Everybody here could probably set puzzles, and they're all going to be different, which is so
Yeah.
cool.
Definitely.
And they all have different thought processes and stuff, and I think it's absolutely amazing.
And the thing
So,
that,
yeah.
that makes me feel so warm and fuzzy about puzzle setting is that no matter what you end up with at the end of the day, you're gonna think it's awesome because it is awesome. And it'll feel awesome to have a puzzle that you made.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyone here who hasn't set a puzzle, go set a puzzle because it feels awesome.
And Glom, I want to see a copy of this hippo-shaped kakura you made. I'd love to try it.
I wonder how gigantic is pretty gigantic. I guess
I'm assuming really gigantic.
is the hippo to scale? Is that what we're doing?
No, it's not easy to draw a hippo
Right.
in a grid. That's the big problem. Like the reason why I picked the camel, the elephant, and the rhino at the time was because it was the challenge for the month that CTC had put out there. That was the monthly puzzle prompt. Incorporate fairy tests. And I came up with this weird idea that you would solve for the picture in order to solve the rest of the puzzle.
Right.
And I was like, that's actually a neat idea.
Mhm.
They wanted to put it in the book. That was actually the one that was going to go in the book, and it wouldn't fit. So they're replacing it. They're going to put a different one in. But amazingly, I made it into the book. But yeah, that one, I don't think I'll ever be able to make another one like that where you have to actually solve for the picture to solve the puzzle,
Right.
which is kind of neat.
Well, congrats on the book. I'm not even in the book, so
Next time.
yeah, I mean, sometimes you write some interesting and new rules. Do you feel like you're good at writing the rules to your own puzzles, or is it a
I'm
struggle?
terrible.
You're terrible.
Actually, it's Asylum who wrote the rules. I hate to tell you this. Asylum came up to me at one point and said, "We need to standardize this. This is absolutely terrible. Yeah, every time you write this, it comes out differently." So Asylum wrote a set of rules. We have it in the Paint by Numbers Discord. I just copy and paste every time. Because I'm like, I don't know what else to do with that.
That's fair. Do you have any tips for other people who struggle with writing their own rule sets to make it clear?
Seriously, it just go to testers.
Yes.
Bring it to testers because testers will always tell you, this rule here, what did that have to do with it? And you didn't mention that dot over there? Like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, they do help a lot. That's an interesting question. RDNT. Or RDNDNT. That is such a hard name to say. Kenneth. I'll just call you Kenneth. Hello, Yoshi. And hello, Kenneth. Yeah, that is a very interesting question. I'm going to write that one down. If you were a unique rule set, which would you be?
JSS, what do you mean?
Yeah, I was going to say it's pretty obvious for you, but I'm going to write that down for later.
Yeah, I've done a lot, but I love the JSS because it gives you a neat result. Like you can actually do that to cater to a picture, which is really cool. All the other ones, I try to make pictures with the tools, but it's not the same thing. And I've always amazed at Simon and Mark's creativity, especially Simon, who I know he kept messing up when he did Too Early too. He kept calling it the wrong thing. But he looks at these pictures like, look at this picture by so-and-so. It's and I'm looking at it going, are you serious? You see that? That's amazing because I don't see the picture that easily, But I'll see pictures and things where there's like just arrows and lines and that's it. And they're enough to see the picture. I think that's just amazing. They've got such creativity. It's great.
That feels like a little like you've got such creativity to see these pictures that don't exist. Like
Well, they've drawn them. They just drew them with tools as opposed to drawing them with like pictures.
right,
Like I use actual pixels and do pixel images.
right,
So
which is obviously very different, and one makes better pictures than the other, obviously.
I like Zombie Hunter's response.
uh,
Well, I suppose that works with you with two cats, right?
yeah, that's true. They don't cuddle very often, but when they do, they're not usually as pressed up against each other. But how would you describe your reputation as a constructor?
I have a reputation. I have no idea.
Like, what do people expect when they are going into a Panthera puzzle?
You tell me what you'd expect. I have no idea what you expect. I just come up with weird ideas and try them and see if they work.
Okay.
Let me ask the audience on this one. What do you guys expect when you get one of my puzzles? Do you expect a picture? Would you be really upset if you didn't see one? I'm curious.
Furiously typing, I'm guessing.
I don't know. We'll find out. Camels.
Yeah, okay. A hidden
The
magic
hidden
square.
magic square I was using for a while because I had trouble with creating the picture like when you have big blocks of color. And
Right.
that was really hard to differentiate the pieces. And now I've gotten better at that. So I don't know if I would need them as much, but it depends. Sometimes I still need them, you know. But that hidden magic square just is a nice way to not ruin the picture, but still be able to come up with the picture.
Without
And
those
David
nasty
Rutt, thank
dots
you.
or anything.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's like you could put dots in for like if it's in the middle of someone's body, or like a let's just say a camel. You wouldn't want necessarily dots in the middle of a camel, you know, that type of thing.
You have no one to blame but yourself for that one.
What? I always draw camels, right?
Right.
Thank you for being willing not to make any short to this, or else I know you would have made it short.
Camel shorts.
Yeah.
Which sound like a style of shorts. Expect an aha moment from you, either Sudoku based or based on what the picture is.
I try to make some sort of moment at the end when you realize what the picture is and you realize that, oh, that actually does make a picture, which is kind of cool.
Right.
I thought it was kind of neat when Mark was solving my my sheep puzzle, the black sheep one with the bags of wool. I think it was called 3 Bags Full. And at one point he started singing, Baba Back Sheep, have you any wool? And I don't think he realized at that time. I don't know if he realized at the time that's what the picture was of, but yeah, that was what the clue was.
That's funny.
Robert, will the Jigsaw Sudoku work for cookie puzzles, or do you just need more like the actual ones on screen there? Oh, David Ratner asked an interesting question. Would I be willing to do a collaboration with someone I haven't worked with yet? Absolutely. I'll give you an example. Directionary basically asked in chat one time in Rank Stream, anybody willing to work with me? I'd like to collab. And I went, sure. I'll collab with anybody. I think it's quite neat to be able to collab with anybody, and you learn so much. I've even collabed with Zeta helped Zeta make a puzzle for his husband's birthday, and then I helped his husband make a puzzle for his birthday. I collabed with a lot of people, and I think it's a lot of fun to collab. And if anybody wants to send me a picture they want made into a Sudoku puzzle, I will. I'd be happy to. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
That's an interesting question from Andrew. Have you ever made a JSS QR code?
Nope. Never made a QR code. I would need one that is a 9x9 grid in the end, which is possible, but you would need to have have the right generator for it, I guess, or something, because most of them aren't that small for the QR codes, as far as I know. However, I do know somebody did that, and I'm forgetting. I think it may have been a JSS of some sort that I saw a QR code done, but it may have been a seven. Yeah, I think it was a little bigger, Chameleon. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
I don't mind making a 32 by 32 puzzle. I just you want to solve it? Yeah, it was like a nonogram, Chameleon. I agree. It was
Yeah,
just
I
a
think so.
nonogram. It gets really nasty when you get above 9 digits for the sums, because then your sums become so big and it's hard to keep track of what you're doing. So that's the reason why I don't go into bigger grids unless I do the 4 6 by 6s. Yeah.
Right. How long does it? Zombie Hunter's suggestion.
Well, what was your question here?
Sorry, I was asking how long does it take you to set a puzzle normally?
It can take a little bit to set, but then, like I said, you have to test it, and the testing can take an hour, and then you might end up with a deadly pattern and have to restart the entire thing. So very often I'll do at most 1 puzzle a day. That's
Right.
like at the most I'll be able to do usually, and that's with, like, if I'm bored at a card show or something, and I'll sit there and work on my puzzle while I'm watching the table type thing. So I'm doing it all day long and then scrapping it and fixing it and do it again.
Yeah, and
Given the fact that I'm doing this at a card show, David Ratner, with people walking around talking to me and things like that, I'd say I don't need peace and quiet to be able to set. When there's nobody at our table, or the table is just like, nobody needs me right away. Sometimes I'll be setting a puzzle while I'm working out there. Yeah.
right. Where do your weirder ideas come from? Not the so much Japanese some Sudoku ones, but the 10% that don't make a picture. Where do those ideas come from? Because some of them are really creative.
Oh, well, like very often a lot of them came from the birthday puzzles.
Mhm.
Like when somebody said, "Oh, I like crosswords and I like Sudokus," I was like, "Okay, we'll combine them and make a crossword Sudoku." But then I was like, "This is so cool! I want to make another one and put it out there because no one's going to see it otherwise."
Right.
So I made another one, and then Olima looked at it and was like, "The clues are sucky. Sorry." And I'm like, "I just looked them up. I don't know how to make clues." So Olima did one with me, and then we made another one together, which had, that type of thing. But
Right.
no, Zombie Hunter, the idea is not to end up with one that has a deadly pattern in the end. But that is a cute idea, to have a skull and crossbones one.
That would be kind of cute.
Yeah, the problem is people barf at the idea of a deadly pattern at the end. They're just like, it doesn't have a unique solution. It's no good.
That is the unique solution.
Yeah, the unique solution is there's no unique solution. Okay.
The most unique solution. The one that's never
The
been
most
done
unique.
before.
Yeah.
Robert asks, have you ever had a picture that you wanted to make into a puzzle but couldn't get it to work?
There are lots of them that I have trouble drawing into a 9x9 grid, and I'll sit there and I will look and look and look and look. And yeah, there's a bunch I've had trouble. Very often I'll change tactics in those cases, because it's like, if I can't draw it, how's somebody gonna be able to solve it and be able to recognize it? So yeah, I've had lots of them.
Have you
Lots
ever
of pictures
gotten
on
like some drawing in the grid, but like you just can't disambiguate something, or you're always ending up with a deadly pattern?
Well, I told you, if it doesn't work, scratch it,
Magic
try
spell.
again. Take the
Okay.
pieces that worked. And this is one thing I love with ranked software. I'll put it on what's it called? Where you get to pick the numbers and it fills in the candidates, right? And so I'll put in the ones I know I want, and then let it start filling in the rest of the grid based upon that. And that's how I create them very often. So I'll be like, okay, I want to make this whole row that's all supposed to be shaded have to have a 1 or a 2 outside, just because that way everything else except for that gets shaded.
Right.
And that type of thing I'll put in there, and that helps a lot. And very often I'll have to redo it. And sometimes it's, as opposed to making it a maximal value, it's making a minimal value and it works better.
Right.
It's kind of wild. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Do you find more enjoyment in solving puzzles or setting them?
Setting. I find the challenge is more in setting as well as everything else. Like I recently made a puzzle for Peter and Aspartagus and me to use for our next puzzle pack, and I looked at it after. I'm like, it's too easy.
Right.
The challenge was in the setting of it, not in the solving of it, and that makes it less fun because you want it to be challenging for the solver, not just something super easy to do.
Right.
So I have to kind of redo that puzzle for that reason. Yeah.
Would you say there's intrinsic enjoyment in setting? Like, would you set puzzles even if no one would solve them?
Yeah. I think a lot of my early puzzles, that's exactly what happened. Well, people didn't know me and they didn't want to try the JSS because they're like, this looks boring. And I still remember, I think it was Backpedal, but I forget. It was one of those server mods on the Discord who said, I'm going to try your puzzle now. I've not tried one of these. I'm going to try one. And they came back with, oh, it's a lot like Sandwich Sudoku. That was actually fun. But they had never even thought to try it at all. And it's like, because it's a little different, they didn't even want to try it. And if CTC hadn't done my packs or featured my puzzles, I think I would still be making puzzles with nobody seeing them.
I don't think that's true, but
Well, it did help get the word out there.
yeah, it definitely helps.
Yeah.
Is there any piece of advice you'd give someone just starting setting?
Don't give up. People on the Discord are generally very nice, but if you run into a few bad apples, don't give up. Hope. Keep trying because there are a lot of good people on there. And it can be quite fun, So,
Right.
yeah.
That's...
And you'll do it. The only thing that annoys me are when people put up in the testing channel what puzzles that are not done. I would rather them put up questions for help and say, help, I need some help. Can you help me create this puzzle or something like that? Because testing a puzzle which somebody has never tested on their own puzzle is really harsh. You need to test your own puzzles. That's the only other thing I got to say. Don't put a puzzle up you've not tried doing yourself. Because if you can't do it, likely no one else can too. To answer Glum Hippos, have I ever done a JSS that requires drawing a loop? Yes, I've actually made it one that required a snake, I think. I don't remember if it required a loop or if it was just drawing a snake in the grid. But I did something... No, it was a snake. It was not a loop. I apologize. It was not a loop. It was a snake. But it had a bunch of pieces that were exactly the same in the snake. It was kind of weird. I did something weird.
Welcome, Casey.
Hey, Casey. What do I like better, JSS or nanograms? Actually, I like JSS better. I think it's a little more challenging. But nanograms get huge in terms of pictures. Like, size-wise, absolutely ridiculous, yeah. But I definitely get a lot of inspiration from nanograms.
Do you have a puzzling pet peeve? Something that annoys you about other people's puzzles or setting or something like that?
Well, like I told you, I prefer people to test their own puzzles before putting them up for testing. Try it once yourself. But that's it. I mean, so if I see on the setting area, this person's not had a lot of solves, I might try it. But if I see the person said, okay, so this is my third try on this puzzle, I'm like, nah, I'll do somebody else's. Because I'd rather do one that I know is solved, that people, at least the setter solved it themselves and tried it. That's one of those things. I agree with you, Zombie Hunter. I hate when you have to add clues to something where you had a nice break-in and it could actually ruin the break-in or ruin what you've done. So Zombie Hunter said, I hate it when I set an amazing puzzle that I cannot solve and then need to add more clues. I totally agree with you there. But with JSS, you end up redoing it entirely and sometimes lose the logic that you had, which is annoying as well. Because sometimes I'm like, oh, this is really cool. You can use the fact that the box adds up to 45 to know that something has to go out. And the next time it's like, nope, didn't need that at all. It's
Right.
not needed.
What's the best piece of feedback you've ever gotten on a puzzle?
I have no idea. I love it when Mark or Simon does do my puzzles and say that they're cool. I mean, to be honest, I really do. But I don't really know.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, what's a question that you want to be asked, and what's your answer to that question? Anything you want to talk about?
I kind of sent it to you privately, and we went through the whole list because I knew I'd forget, like at the moment, because my brain kind of goes whoosh, when I get nervous, and I'm definitely nervous. So I don't know. I don't really have anything I want to be asked necessarily. I'm really flattered that you wanted to have me on here, and that you guys think I'm that good of a setter because I don't think of myself being better than anyone else.
Okay.
And I think everybody's got the same capabilities I have, and everybody can set just as fine puzzles. Not even that they can, but that they do.
Right. Trying to think of how to ask this. I had a very specific phrasing when I asked this sort of question to, I believe I asked Isabella about this. What's it like being a woman in puzzles? Does it feel weird sometimes? Because I know it's a pretty male dominated area, and yeah. I mean, so is math, right? So
you're talking to someone with a PhD in math who is a natural mathematician. And when I say natural, I mean, even when I was getting my PhD, the professors were telling me I was a natural mathematician. That was very unusual because I actually understood the math. For most of my career, I've been in math classes where I may be the only woman and outperforming every man. And some really interesting stories from college I could tell you, for instance. For example, one of my courses where I was probably the only girl, I was with a teacher who had me multiple times. And on the final exam, at one point, I was like, you know what? I have an A. It doesn't matter if I finish every single question on the final. I think I'll just turn it in and be done. And I left one question blank. And the professor, in the middle of the test, comes up to me and says, I put that on there for you. And he had to tell me how to solve it then and there. And I'm like, people around us are doing the test right now. And then that's when he told me I had gotten 100% on all of his tests, like every time he had a final exam. And so he's like, I'd put that question on just for you because you had done that every single time. And I'm like, but that's just the way I am. I'm used to that. So it's not a big deal. And I enjoy setting, and I'm not the only girl who does it, which is nice too. There are lots of them.
Yeah.
They just don't necessarily tell people right away that they're girls. But yeah. So I mean, we could just rename Skunkworks if you really like. Ugh.
You'll have to do a Japanese Sudoku snack Doku, and then camels instead of skunks for that one.
Well, the problem with the snack Doku, I started off putting it a 4x4. And this just tells you, like, I'm really trying to be fair with this, because even though it's 4x4, I thought it was super easy. Everyone's like, that's taking me over 2 minutes. So I had to go to a 3x3 for snack Doku. I don't know about you, but I cannot draw a camel on a 3x3 grid.
I think a camel is the only thing you can draw on a 3x3 grid because everyone
Oh,
will
is that
think
what
it's a
it is?
camel no
Okay,
matter what
that-
it is.
Exactly. So, so that's the problem with trying to make a snack Doku.
Right.
That's a JSS. There's very little things I can do with it.
Right. Maybe we'll talk about JSS in genuinely approachable Sudoku. I know there's been a couple of them, and I know that you've requested them a few times. Is there a reason behind that?
Yeah, because I want more people to be exposed to it. It's not a hard thing to do.
Right.
And it's really cool when you get a picture at the end. And I think that the reason why it's not in there is just because the people who are setting are not used to setting those. Their forte is more other types, which is fine. But then that's the reason why I want to be a guest setter. It's not that I want to be a guest setter. I even told them, here, I'll give you my gas. I have one made. You can have it. You can put your name on it. I don't care. I want it out there. I just want people to be able to try some Japanese some Sudokus. I think they're really fun. And a lot of people don't try them otherwise. They're afraid to. They think they might be hard or something. They've just never tried them without realizing not only are they reasonable, like they're about the same level as a sandwich Sudoku,
Right.
but they're cooler. You know?
Because of the picture stuff.
Yeah. I mean, isn't it kind of neat? You get a picture at the end?
Right. Yeah, it is cool for sure.
Thank you, David Ratner. David Ratner's so sweet.
All right, maybe we should do the rapid fire questions. We're getting sort of close to the 2-hour mark. Okay, so one answer or the other as quickly as you can. Also, hello, Bramster. Welcome.
Hey, Bramster. Bramster is one of my friends who has featured a few of my puzzles. I don't have him do many because I know he's got an overwhelming amount of puzzles to do in general, but he does a great job. Love you, Bram.
Definitely. All right. Morning, Bram. I was going to say it seems early for you. Local or global deductions?
Rapid fire, huh?
It's okay. You can't do worse than Kagisha.
I don't know what local versus global is in some respect, you know?
Like
I
a
look
big
at that like
break-in or just single little deductions one at a time, all leading to this.
well, obviously, I do single little deductions all the time. I mean, you have to do the shading before you can actually fill in any numbers often.
Right.
So definitely that method is better for me, yeah.
So local, I guess.
And I don't mind the idea of having, you know, you can make just this little bit of progress here, a little bit of progress there, and then something else falls apart. That's totally okay. Wonderful when it happens.
Yeah, I like that as well. Like a cookie crumbling sort of deal.
Yeah.
Coloring or good lifting?
Coloring and good lifting. I'm sorry to tell you, when you're doing my puzzles, you have to do both. Very often, JSS, one of the things people don't realize is good lift as much as you can, because you'll often find, oh, that combination of numbers can't work.
Right.
And that particular digit can't work in that spot, but you won't see that if you don't good lift to begin with. So I think you need to do both, unfortunately.
All right. Simple or complex?
Complex.
Okay.
I mean, even my Jigsaw puzzle you were looking at before
Mm-hmm.
with the software, it has easy pieces. No. Imagine trying to put those together to make a 9x9 grid and making sure the numbers don't repeat in any row or column and that this one certain piece is upright.
Right.
That's not an easy thing to put together. Yeah, that thing. That's your complex piece. It doesn't have to be complex every single step of the puzzle, but it can be complex on part of it, and that can be enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, feel free to show that a little bit more. That is so cool.
Yeah,
You can
definitely.
turn the pieces, you can move them. It's just amazing. Love it. So we're going to use that in a pack. And what's cool is you don't have to use it just for JSS. You can input more in there. So if you want to do your own jigsaw puzzle, Chameleon has made it so you can import without even the JSS clues. Doesn't need to be JSS at all. And
Right.
it doesn't need to be a regular either. But you totally can do a regular. And I love the fact that the numbers are just upright no matter what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chameleon did a great
That's
job
like-
on that.
Yeah, I'm just having fun playing with that now. I've made a few puzzles just to put them in there, not for any other reason.
All right, back to the rapid fire. Geometry or arithmetic?
I actually like geometry, but I'm not that good at spotting it,
Mhm.
to be honest. I'm better at the arithmetic because I'm used to doing Kakuros and things like that. So I'm used to doing the addition.
Right.
Zombie, I've got a math degree, right? I've got a PhD in math. So I'm crazy that way, and I have a math degree already.
Penta or F puzzles?
They both have their benefits. Actually, I'll tell you a little story. So Eric Fox that does the F puzzles, right? He once was mean to me and told me, well, if you want to do that, then just go use Penpa. I said, okay. And then I went and I made a puzzle. I think it was called To Be or Not to Be, which involved imaginary numbers. No, I did one with them. I did imaginary Sudoku. That's what it's called. It's called imaginary Sudoku. You can look it up. Imaginary Sudoku used imaginary numbers in the puzzle, and you couldn't put it into F puzzles. So I created a puzzle where you couldn't put it into F puzzles just because he inspired me that way. And later on when, he talked to me again, I was like, oh, you inspired me to make a puzzle. And he's like, I did? Because he thought, we had this really mean fight or something and, it was going to be really bad. I was like, no, I just took that as a confirmation I should do something different. And that's what I did. And so I kind of looked at it in a nice way. It does something really cool, by the way. It does make a cool picture.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an imaginary Sudoku. Yeah. To answer Andrew Sarchis, what area of math that I focus on? My PhD is in topology.
Nice. Donuts and
Yeah.
stuff.
Exactly. Oh, yeah,
everyone
Jim
likes
Baker.
donuts.
If you've not seen it, try it. You're going to love it. It is a Japanese sum puzzle, which includes 0. So it does make it a little bit complicated, but it's doable. Yeah.
Sudoku or pencil puzzles?
Sudoku all the way.
Okay.
I like some pencil puzzles, but at least as far as the gap goes, I'm not into the loopy, spinny stuff at all. But I'll do it to practice.
Right.
What
yeah.
record got beaten?
The rapid fire record.
For how long it takes me to answer these?
Yeah. Yes.
Not very rapid fire.
No. Chaos or order?
Chaos. 100% chaos. I love the randomness and things like that. Absolutely.
Right. Calculator or abacus?
I will throw you a curveball. I'll do a slide rule.
What is
My
this
dad
slide
actually
roll?
had a slide. You don't even know what that is? Oh my gosh.
No.
Oh gosh. That I feel really bad. My dad had a slide rule that was accurate up to 3 decimal places. And at one point he gave it to me. He had won it. And it's basically like an early form of a calculator done with sticks.
Oh, I have seen these. I just didn't know what they were called.
Yeah.
I've mostly seen the spinny ones.
Yeah. And Casey, to answer your question, no, I would not go back for another degree. I've had enough. I'm getting old. Yay, people are cheering slide rule. That's awesome.
You have a slide rule, Brimster? Oh.
I'm actually planning on handing down my slide rule to my nephews when I get older because, we might as well keep it in the family. So I'm going to take a quick second to say hello to Daniel and Benjamin. Okay. Okay.
Cages or lines?
Depends. I know not so good with Run Band. I like German Whisper though a lot. Cages can be okay too. So depends. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Arrows or dots?
Dots.
That was the fastest one
Arrows
yet.
often- Having dealt with Peter Venus so much, I know that arrows almost always mean geometry, and I'm not always good at spotting it, though I'm better now. I'm still not the best at it, and so because I like geometry, but I can't always spot it, I prefer the dots. Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
That's an interesting one, Casey. Dots or XV?
Well, surprisingly, I don't think you can set an XV puzzle that's only got XV in it. I think you have to have another constraint. Or else, technically, I think you can switch things like the 9s and the 6s can switch places, that type of thing. And you still have the same solvable puzzle, which is kind of wild. And I don't know how I know that, but I do it in my head that way. This is what I mean by a natural mathematician. But the dots, it actually is unique. So I'm going to have to say dots.
Okay. To disambiguate a puzzle, a given or a clue?
Very often for me, a clue, because I would throw in a little dot to do it or something like that. Yeah.
Right.
So definitely a clue.
Don't damage the aesthetics of the puzzle.
Exactly. Unfortunately, though, now I'd change it to something else, but I would still do another clue. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe try to make an eye in the animal or something. If I was making a cat, for instance, since I'm looking at a kitty cat, where I didn't have one before or something like that, or maybe add whiskers.
Stop trying to lick my face, please.
And Zombie Hunter, I'm just going to tell you real quick. There's no Carl's Jr. or Jack in the Box on the East Coast where I am. So, wrong coast.
Neither. And I think this one will actually be quick. Outside or inside clues?
Outside, of course.
There we go. Good or evil?
Good. I go to church every week.
Lawful or
I do.
chaotic?
Lawful? Wait, hold on. I'm lawful, but it's like lawful or chaotic. Let me rephrase that. I'm good chaotic is how I'd phrase myself.
Okay.
Oh, that means I'm lawful, but I like chaos. Does that make sense? I don't think lawful is opposite chaotic, but that's okay.
So good, evil, lawful, chaotic is the
Right. I'm just
D&D.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like chaos. But
Yeah.
it's more order versus chaos. It's not lawful versus chaos.
Well, lawful versus chaos is like whether you follow your own, like a code. Like, do you stick to a code, or do you
I stick
like
to
go
God's
off and
code.
do random stuff?
I stick to God's code, but I do a lot of random stuff.
Okay.
For example, like I told you about the signing I did for charity. That was
Right.
very random, not necessarily not necessarily expected, but I did it. So
Microstudy asked something, and I have been debating whether it's a real thing or not. I'll just ask you, and if it's not a real thing, then you can just tell me it's not a real thing. I'm gonna paste it in chat. Dromedaries or back trains?
have you looked that up?
No. What does it
Look
mean?
it up. You'll see why.
I feel like I'm being
I
tricked
actually
into something.
decided I was going to look at the questions in advance just to see what people are asking. Look it up. Go ahead. You'll see why. I'm sorry, but I like 2 lumps in my coffee.
Of course.
But But I only like one lump camels as far as, drawing them, because it's really hard to draw a 2 lump in a 9x9 grid.
Here, in case anyone doesn't know, like me. Oh, I have it on the wrong page. Sorry.
And I had to look that up too, because I didn't know either. I'm not a huge camel person. Just as you put it, it's become a meme.
Who is a camel person anyway?
I have a feeling there are a few. Like, who was it that just kept asking me why everything was a camel? Was it Zombie?
Zombie
right?
might be a camel person, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I
So
didn't
that's the,
Google that before.
that's the reason why I was like, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I should have just left that.
Okay.
And I don't feel stupid for not knowing it now.
No, that was a nice question to ask, but I mean, yeah, it's like beating a dead camel. I mean, how many camel jokes can you do,
It's like beating a dead camel.
right?
Does it look like a ship? I'm not sure it looks like a ship. I think I definitely prefer the... What is it even called? What did he call it?
See, for me, if I'm riding one, I'd rather have the Bactrian one, so you have the hump in front of you and the hump behind you. But if you're doing a picture of it, definitely the one hump. It's really hard to make two.
That's true, but I feel like when people are riding them in movies and such, I feel like it's usually the one hump camel. Because that's the Middle
Yeah.
Eastern one.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen someone riding a two-humped camel. Maybe they're not as nice. They look insane. He's quite...
Oh, that's an interesting. Okay, so I'm going to ask the chat, what is your favorite fast food place near you? Since it looks like a lot of people are putting them out there, which ones they like.
Mongols would ride the two-hump camel. Interesting.
Yeah.
Two-hump camel is shorter, apparently, as according to this picture. Anyways, moving on from the camel discussion. Sorry, I got distracted by this
Five
now.
Guys, I agree with Casey. I like Five Guys.
I'm a vegetarian, so I have no opinion on this. On this.
That's okay. Casey also asked what's my favorite constraint to solve after JSS. Usually after JSS, the puzzle's solved, so I don't need to do another constraint. But in terms of solving other people's, like I said, I love German Whispers. And past that, there's a bunch of them I like a lot. I like it when there's strange rules as well. So I like trying people's original puzzles as well. Yeah. So hopefully that helps.
How do you come up with your puzzle names that are not just pictures that you're trying to hint at?
Usually it's happy birthday, whoever. Yeah. I don't know. I just come up with whatever fits it. The only one that I think was kind of bad was one that Monty changed, and everyone did not get the reference. It was supposed to be Abraham Lincoln's face, and he decided to make a joke based upon the Gettysburg Address.
Right.
Why did the camel move to Pennsylvania to get a Gettysburg Address? The problem is that a lot of people who do Sudoku are not necessarily U.S. people, so they didn't know what he was talking about, the Gettysburg Address.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what that was about. And what do you think your best puzzle name is overall?
My best puzzle name?
Yeah.
No idea. Never thought about that one. Don't know if I really have any puzzle names that are cryptic or, they were never meant to be cryptic. They're always supposed to be a clue because you need some sort of clue as to what the picture is usually to make sure you're on the right track when you solve it. You got it right.
It's quite a few interesting ones on your LMD at least. Phenomena. Do.
That one is a neat one. That one actually does not make a picture, but it has to do with a lot of monominal pieces. So it's about putting in monominal pieces together to make your picture. And it's done with a JSS, which is kind of wild. So you have to color things that works, but the only thing I tell you is the first color you see.
Right.
So it's not like it's like it's a little different. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Zombie Hunter, I have no idea if God is more of a mathematician or an artist. What if he's a little bit of both? Who knows?
What do you hope solvers will get out of solving your puzzles?
I just want them to have fun. I mean, I think that's the truth with anybody's puzzles. They want people to enjoy their puzzle and have fun solving it, maybe get some insight that they never thought of before. But past that, just enjoy it. And it's hard to come up with new insights every time. In fact, I admire those people who can do that every single time. But for me, very often it's, okay, you've solved one of mine. You know how to do it. Go for it. Here's another one. Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about how CTC featuring your stuff was like huge for you because of the fact that like Japanese sums is something that you love and it's not something that was so popular before.
Well, it's not that Japanese sums, it's Japanese sum Sudoku. It's actually making the pictures in the grid that I like doing. And I think it was the puzzle packs that I put out through them that really made the difference. Not just them featuring it on the channel like that, but also the puzzle packs.
Right.
And like I said, I'm just going to give another shout out for Asylum because he is incredible. And without him, I couldn't have done a lot of the puzzle packs with JSS that I did. So, yeah.
Well, anyways, we're almost at the 2-hour mark, so we can wrap it up. And thank you so much, Panthera, for joining us and giving your thoughts on all things camel and
yeah, because I'm such a camel expert.
Yeah, camel expert right here. Even knew the difference between the one hump and 2 hump camels.
Just because I looked it up.
Yeah, just because. Yeah, PhD in camel math, I mean, that is really a topology problem, the 1 hump or 2 humps, but actually, no, it's the same. It's the same thing.
Topologically, they're the exact same thing, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Unless the humps have, I don't think the humps have holes in them. But I'm not a camel expert, so.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about holes in camels. That would be gross.
Yeah, yeah. Let's stop that now. I'm gonna put the kibosh on that now. Non-orientable. Well, thank you everyone for coming out.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. If it's okay, I just want to call out my god kids, Adam, Caroline, and Joseph. Love you guys. It sounds weird, but they've always watched the CTC stuff with me comparatively. So, I just wanted to call them out real quick. Thank you.
That's cute. So later, not this week, but next week, we have collaboration with Codec coming up. just posted today about it, so that should be exciting. And other than that, we have, of course, the second season of Setter Spotlight continuing with Panthera knows who's up next, so I will allow her to announce.
Playmaker 6174.
Yes, Playmaker will be the next guest on our wonderful series here. And then I think we only have one more after that, but I'm not sure if Playmaker will get to announce the obvious last person, but we'll see. Anyways,
I should definitely have me that. No sense in not.
excuse me. Apparently, I need to go before I start coughing or something.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed hanging out with you guys and talking about camels. Obviously, that's my number one thing I like to talk about.
Right, of course. It was great to have you. We don't get camel experts in here very often, but yeah, I definitely appreciate your unique perspectives on lots of things, JSS and Sudoku in general. Anyways, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a good rest of your weekend.